When the iPhone 13 was announced, I decided that the Pro is a better model for myself. I have used the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I loved it. But with the added 12 grams, which sounds like nothing, I decided to drop that and go down to the regular Pro and skip the Max. But still, we have the iPhone 13 Pro Max here, and I gotta say, I was right. But let's talk about the iPhone 13 Pro Max and what to consider when choosing the iPhone 13 Pro series. Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review. Here's some socials, and let's just get started. If you're looking for a full review of the iPhone 13 Pro Max, that's not what I'm going to do here. Instead, take some time to watch my review of the iPhone 13 Pro, and then continue from there, because ultimately, they're the same phone. Normally, iPhones and their larger models have small differences, like the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6s having optical image stabilization only in the Plus models. Then the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 8 having the dual camera in their Plus models. And then on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it had the sensor shift stabilizer over the magnet optical image stabilization found in the normal Pro and pretty much every other iPhone before that. But this time, the changes are very minor. Then there's the obvious, like the size and the weight of the phone, which obviously the Max is larger and heavier, and the iPhone 13 Pro is slightly lighter than the iPhone XS Max, which is pretty nice in my eyes. These are big and heavy phones, but the iPhone 13 Pro Max is literally the biggest iPhone you can buy. Moving from the iPhone 11 Pro Max to the iPhone 13 Pro, I actually had no issues, and it felt like a nice change, even though the weight difference is only 22 grams. The 13 Pro Max, however, 36 grams heavier when compared to the 13 Pro. This alone helped me choose the 13 Pro over the 13 Pro Max, but the OLED screen is smaller at 6.1 inches versus a 6.7 inch one on the Max. The pixel density is 2 pixels per inch lower on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is normal. With that said, viewing content makes more sense on the Max over the regular Pro because of that size. Other than that, same display technology, both have HDR and ProMotion displays, maxing out at 1000 or 1200 nits brightness, with the latter being for HDR content. The processors are the same, though the heat profile may be a little bit different. I didn't notice much of a difference, but the larger size on the Pro Max does give it an advantage, meaning it won't heat up as much or the screen won't dim as quickly when compared to the normal Pro. I personally didn't notice the difference, but it would make sense. With that said, same A15 chip with the same storage options as well. Now, the cameras, they are, well, you guessed it. They're the exact same. Whether we're talking about software or hardware, they're the exact same. Both phones have sensor shift stabilization, unlike last year, where it was only on the 12 Pro Max. Actually, all the iPhone 13s have sensor shift stabilization. On the bottom, it would be safe to say that the speaker is slightly better on the 13 Pro Max because of that extra space in the 6 speaker holes compared to the 5 on the Pro, though the sound is pretty much the same. There are 4 microphone holes on the Pro Max and 3 on the Pro. The camera area looks exactly the same, at least in my eyes. Maybe it's slightly different, but it looks exactly the same. The port is the same, but the charging speeds are a little bit different, just like the batteries. The 13 Pro goes up to 23 watts of charging into that 11.97 watt-hour battery, while the 13 Pro Max hits 27 watts to fill up that 16.75 watt-hour battery. How long does it last? For me, pretty much the same, but for the average person, accept 10 to 20% more battery usage out of the Max. You're probably thinking, okay, it's pretty much the same, just bigger. And that is, for the most part, true. The obvious every year is a bigger battery and larger screen, and this year that seems to be the main focus. Last year's 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max charged from 20 to 22 watts, and this year they're not only faster, but different. The screen has the same difference as last year's Duo, simply a different size and pixel density. For a $100 difference, it makes sense for those to choose based on the screen size alone, and I think that's a good thing. I remember buying the iPhone 7 and struggling to decide if having a second camera and a bigger screen was worth upgrading. And now here we are, giving 2 phones with no compromises and no trade-offs. The battery capacity isn't a huge deal, giving me better performance over the 11 Pro Max that it was replacing, not to mention boosting the charging speeds. To me, the 13 Pro is the better option. The screen is amazing, but not perfect. I would like a larger screen, but in this shape, which is impossible really. But I do have to say the OnePlus 7 Pro was 206 grams at a 6.7 inch screen. Having large screens at a lighter weight is possible, and I think it's something that Apple should adopt. So which iPhone do we choose? Big or small? If your eyes aren't doing too well, personally I never agree with that whole bigger screen means easier to see. All you gotta do is just lower the brightness and give your eyes a break. But if you want the best possible battery, I would suggest going with the 13 Pro Max. Personally, I'm glad that I chose the iPhone 13 Pro. But what do you think? Did I miss another key aspect? Let me know in the comment section, as well as which one you want or chose. Check out the socials listed above, and as always, thanks for watching.